Hello, people. My name is Matt, and welcome to the World Between Worlds. Today, huge WWE things we're going to be discussing. A lot of things. I have multiple sites pulled up so I can kind of read some articles to you guys. What we're really just going to be talking about today is what the heck is up with WWE and TKO. This is all in the world of professional wrestling, so it's hard to, take everything at face value. There's a work shoot, there's a work. There's a whole thing about whether or not any of this is, quote-unquote real or not, but we're just going to be diving into the news here, and I'll leave it up to you guys to decide. I'll tell you my opinion for sure about everything, but it all kind of goes back to SmackDown. So speaking of which, I'm going to pull up Cody Rhodes' promo, because that's the one thing I didn't transcribe here. Let's see. So I'm on the site, Cage Side Seats, and it says he may have gone off script. Well, first we'll start with Pat McAfee coming in, I guess, and being kind of shoehorned in as Randy Orton's, phone call guy, the guy on the other side of the phone. Now, this is a story, Randy Orton versus Cody Rhodes, that has, like Cody said, 20 years of history to play off of. And if they want to talk about their fathers, they had even more than that, right? So the fact that apparently Ari Emanuel, he's on the board of directors and he owns TKO, he comes in and tells Papa H, tells Triple H, or tells the creative team that, hey, Pat McAfee's going to be coming in to this program, make it work, Oh, that's not good, because, again, that's a story that doesn't need any more telling. It's Randy Orton versus Cody Rhodes. It's a simple story. Two of the best wrestlers of today going at it because they just don't like it, because Randy Orton turned violent. That's all it is. And it's a simple story. It should be, and Cody said, it's a simple thing. It should be as simple as that. But, adding Pat McAfee in there confused everything, right? Let's see. I can't find exactly what he said. I'll have to watch the video again, but pretty much I'll go over what Pat McAfee says, and then we'll just break down that, because even what he said doesn't really make sense for their overall story, right? Let's see. I'm going to summarize here. He says, "Wonder why I'm here? I was asked when I was going to return to the WWE during a podcast, right? And he said he thought the business had passed me up. And he said, I thought it was absolute poop. This business was nothing, right? And then Randy called him. He said the business didn't pass. It's just gone in a direction that none of us like. And I thought to myself, who's Randy Orton? Or what's he talking about? And he said the forgotten WWE fans. The Attitude fans. And the ones that we need to take care of them. Pretty much, is what Pat McAfee said. So Randy called him, Randy Orton, the Viper, the Legend Killer, called Pat McAfee to get his sharpness back. That doesn't make any sense, right? And something about the Attitude Era, Randy wasn't even there. Right? He was the face of the PG era along with John Cena. So, I didn't like that. Pat McAfee continues and says, we've forgotten about... he asked why he has to watch two 5'5" guys doing a 45-minute Iron Man match 10 weeks straight for no reason when Randy Orton is around. Tickets to WrestleMania are still somehow unavailable when Randy Orton is around. And SmackDown is fresh off its worst rated episode of all time, has a puppet for a champion that represents everything we hate. Let's break that down a little bit more too. 2 5'5" guys doing a 45-minute Iron Man match for 10 weeks straight. And he's specifically talking about SmackDown, not AEW, because some people were thinking, maybe that's a shot, I dig at AEW. No. The last Iron Man match was MJF versus Bryan Danielson. That was like a couple years ago. And that was on a pay-per-view at Revolution, I believe. I could be wrong, but it was not WWE, you know? Trying to think, last WWE Iron Man match. Oh, it was Seth Rollins versus Dolph Ziggler, I think on a Monday Night Raw? Yeah, that was September. Oh, wait. 2018 was the last Iron Man match. It was Seth Rollins versus Dolph Ziggler at Extreme Rules 2018. So apparently Apollo Crews versus Goldberg happened on April 26th, 2026. Or April 5th. Wait, that's actually impossible. I actually don't know what I'm reading at all. But yeah, I mean, case in point, no Iron Man match has been taking place in the past couple years here in WWE. So he's not at all talking about anything WWE related. Even the 10 weeks straight might be a dig at the United States Championship division with Carmelo Hayes and Ilya Dragunov and Sami Zayn and the open challenge that had, happened for the past couple weeks. He might be digging on that, but I mean, that's been, for the past 10 so weeks that's been happening, that's been the best part of SmackDown. And what's wrong with having banger matches like that? They're not in the main event, right? So I don't know why he's saying that stuff, right? So I know this promo was scripted, and it was scripted by WWE themselves, right? So it on purpose is meant to look and sound like absolutely stupid, because it is. But it's not even. I don't understand, because this made more people not want to see WrestleMania. Pat McAfee is not going to sell seats. He might a little bit, but not enough to make a huge difference like that, right? And the main thing that they can do to increase ticket sales is lower the prices, because they've been notoriously high, which we'll get into what CM Punk said on Raw. Tickets are available because Randy Orton is around. Lower the prices. That's not a star power type of deal, I don't think. SmackDown fresh off the worst rated episode of all time. Says who? I mean, I think which cage match? Ringside, yeah, cage match I think rates episodes and stuff. So you're telling me Pat McAfee's been on cage match? Again, logistically just doesn't make sense. If you're WWE, I'm watching it to suspend belief just a little bit, but you still have to be legit about it. You can't be completely off the mark. It just doesn't make sense like that, especially when you're trying to play a serious character like Pat McAfee's trying to play here. Well, with Randy Orton, you can't be getting stats wrong just for the sake of heel heat. You need to be on the point, and it's not. Pat McAfee then continues on and says, well, he is a puppet for a champion, a man that represents everything we hate. Didn't WWE and TKO just back everything on Cody a couple years ago? I mean, they changed the whole main event 2 times, but ended up going with Cody, because that's what was best for business. Cody was best for business, not The Rock versus Roman. It was Cody versus Roman. That was the best for business. And they're going to double back on that by saying what Pat McAfee just said. This is, we have a puppet champion. He's the guy, Cody is the guy that has put the company on his back for the last 4 years, since he's been back, 3 years, and we're not going to back him. Again, it's just straight wrong. Like, it's incorrect. He goes on and says, I'm the one on the phone telling Randy Orton he needs to kill everything. And it's not just for the 15th world title. It's because this business that you're leading is terrible. And he's going to save the effing business. Which Cody fired back on. I wish I could listen to that promo again. But when Cody said, this is, Cody stated facts. This is the most money that WWE has ever made. It's been under Cody. This is the most consistent this product has ever been. The records are being broken. Yes, The Rock and John Cena, he's all faced them, but they've also faced Cody Rhodes. So there's the other side of the coin, and it takes two to tango. So Cody stood up for himself very well. And reports say that Cody Rhodes was the... let's see. I'm going to look at SC Scoops real quick. So according to Dave Meltzer, apparently Pat McAfee was the choice a while ago, a couple weeks ago, and he turned it down. And they were scrambling to find somebody for the spot, and then no one was able to do it, or they weren't able to come to a deal with anyone else, and so eventually Pat McAfee got the spot, right? They ended up making a deal with him. What's funny is Ari Emanuel is also Pat McAfee's agent for Hollywood for acting, and apparently he wants to make Pat McAfee the next Sylvester Stallone. So it kind of works. There's bigger pieces to the puzzle, I think, that most wrestling fans are kind of looking at. Pat McAfee's podcast comes to an end soon, like the rights to it, and so it's up for gamble. ESPN's going to be bidding, and Netflix as well. And so if ESPN and Ari Emanuel are kind of all in together, they're all in on Pat McAfee, it makes sense to put him in a high position here just to get even more eyes on everything and make negotiations go even better. That way ESPN can outbid Netflix, and, Pat McAfee can look at what they're doing for him and side with ESPN. So there's a lot more thing. And also, if he's in the main event of WrestleMania, that's eyes on Hollywood, from Hollywood on him as well, which then opens the door for his, movies and stuff like that, as well as, like, any other entertainment industry type gigs that he could get thanks to Ari Emanuel's agent, right? So there's a lot more of that. Let's see. Yes, it says, per Fightful Select, McAfee's role is partially designed to serve as a corporate synergy, giving the Disney-owned network a recognizable face to promote the first ever WrestleMania broadcast on ESPN platforms. Okay, so that's another news. First ever WrestleMania broadcast on ESPN platforms. And who's one of the biggest ESPN faces right now is Pat McAfee. So it makes sense to put him on the show. In this environment and in this program, I don't think it was the right call. I think they could have done it a lot better. Let's see what Ringside News said. Not everyone in WWE was fully on board with a direction, probably because it just, again, like Cody said, it got shoehorned in, or maybe it was Punk that said it, but it just didn't fit. It doesn't fit. Triple H, for me, remains firmly in charge of the show's creative direction. So, again, it's like... you can't blame Triple H for this. He didn't want this, I assume. PW Insider reported that the call was an Ari Emanuel call, as he has been very high on McAfee in general, but especially in the entertainment space. This has led to an incorrect notion that Triple H has no say on the creative direction of the show. He's still leading the week-to-week creative and vast majority of the program. Yeah, so, that's pretty much it with Pat McAfee. Ari Emanuel made the call. Triple H did his best to kind of insert him in. And then the Cody promo, which was reportedly unscripted later in the show, kind of was Triple H's firing back on all the stupid decisions that Ari Emanuel is making. Let's see. So apparently a very upset creative team told Cody to shoot from his hip, right? It felt very impromptu and wasn't on the run sheet for the show as well. So, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I don't know how they're going to, salvage this. They're going to have to try as much as possible. But, I mean, here's the thing. It's getting, the reaction, I think, is... The reaction that this is getting is pretty good, because this is exactly the type of eyes that WWE wants to draw, right? Let's move on to Monday Night Raw, right, where CM Punk opened the show and cut a steamer of a promo on just everything. Right, everything in total. So I transcribed that. I'm gonna kind of read it a little bit for you here. Let's see. He kind of goes over, says it's great to be alive on a Monday night, right? Roman's not here. He had a really cool line at the beginning. So the first part is just him putting over his match with Roman, and he says, being hated by losers is the price I pay for not being one of them. What a clean line. And that's something that, people can take a little deeper in life as well. And being hated by losers is the price I pay for not being one of them. That's great. All right, let's move on. So he says, Roman Reigns says he hates me and I understand. I know why he hates me, but now let me take a moment to explain to everybody who bothered to show up in Houston why I hate Roman Reigns. See, that sign says WrestleMania Las Vegas. It's the biggest show of the year, the granddaddy of them all. And Roman and I both have the tools to climb the ladder and make it to the pinnacle of the king sport. The difference is my tools are self-made, and they're sharpened into a deadly point through years of self-belief and hard work, and sometimes spite, but always sacrifice. And your tools, well, they're store-bought and they're hand-delivered, and they're plastic. That's a great sequence right there as well, because it kind of goes over like, hey, Roman, you were handed everything, all the opportunities you were afforded. And he's right. It's the equivalent of someone building themselves up on their own, no help, versus having everything handed to him. Right? And Roman did have a lot handed. He's very talented. I'm not taking anything away from Roman. Love the guy. Love the character. But Punk's been facts here, right? That Punk was handed nothing and made something. I love that. He says, back in the day, I was too young and stupid to really understand, but now I'm too rich and too old to give a damn. But I understand why this company, TKO, sent your beltless butt to Jimmy Fallon. It's because you're safe, you're boring, and you're plastic, and you're manufactured. And me, I'm dangerous because you never know what I'm going to say. So again, he's kind of playing off the Roman was on Jimmy Fallon, kind of called Punk out, saying he was a bigger star. Punk at questions. Why is it I can film half a dozen television shows and movies and never miss a day, but you use it as a crutch to not show up, and somehow these people are going to boo me when I give them the news that you're not here? Yeah. Okay, so he then says, you puffed around your chest in the back like you're The Rock. At least The Rock is a Hollywood superstar. Oh, I'm sorry, was a Hollywood superstar. So now CM Punk's running down the board of directors here. See, the cousin on the board of directors Oh, sorry. He says, the fairy tale is over because this is pro wrestling and not cinema, right? I don't surround myself with wise men and advocates and yes men who want to protect myself from the truth. No, my dad wasn't a pro wrestler who gave me a favor job because I sucked at football. I have paid my dues and have earned and deserved everything. You're a baby who ate dog food for a weird old man. So he's obviously referencing the 2019 Baron Corbin Roman Reigns feud that went on for years and was terrible, mind you, back in the Vince McMahon era. He shall not be named. And he mentioned Vince here. You know, like, hey, you did all this stupid stuff for this weird, creepy old man. There was a huge dog food scene where Baron Corbin dumped buckets of dog food on Roman, who was chained up to the top rope, right? You know? And he said, Punk said, that weird old man treated me like a dog for years and he expected me to smile, but I had FU money, so I took that and my dignity and left. And that's why you hate me. It's because you can't control me like you control some of the people, because some of your cousins and family, they can't control me, right? So good Roman stuff. This is classic Punk. Nothing really, it is to write home. Nothing to write home about. I will be real. You know, this has nothing to do with TKO really, other than the Rock's involvement in TKO, or WWE business management giving Roman all the green lights, right? Let's see. He says, I can stand on the bridge and blow it up because I know how to swim. So now he's kind of bridging the gap between, okay, that was a work, now I'm a shoot. You know what I mean? He said everybody's going to get it. Pat McAfee is what he said. A great play on words. He said, you can come here to the business of my... you come here to my business and open your mouth. You just wrote a check that your narrow ass can't cash. You want to talk about ticket sales? Do me a favor and call up that agent that was foolish enough to shoehorn you into this business and show him and tell him to lower the ticket prices. So WWE now is openly saying that their ticket prices are too high. And Punk called out Ari Emanuel, the owner of TKO. Yeah. That's pretty much the biggest take home type of thing with it. Let's see. So, according to Body Slam, Punk was given several bullet points to speak on, but didn't have any script to follow, which, yeah, don't ever give CM Punk a script. Tell him, again, this is the correct way to do it. So, obviously, everything that was said in there wasn't, went over completely backstage, but he did have the green light, so this was not, the first pipe bomb he did, which I still believe was one of the best promos I've ever seen. Second, first, that's the best promo. It's neck and neck with MJF's one after Wardlow beat him. I forgot that pay-per-view, but where MJF called Tony Khan a effing mark. That promo from MJF. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked, but this one was not as pipe bomby as the first one. This was PG Punk for sure, but still very, very. My jaw was on the ground when he mentioned ticket prices, because in the moment I'm like, oh my gosh, he's really shooting. He's a straight shooter, Prince Devitt type stuff, you know what I mean? But it's still great stuff. So he clearly got a lot of this stuff kind of okayed. And maybe this is the way of TKO and WWE working together on a project, you know? So let's say Ari Emanuel did say, hey, we need to put this in here and this in here. And Triple H said, okay, but we're going to make you the bad guy and make you kind of an on-screen character, which I don't believe will happen. But let's give WWE grace here, at least for this circumstance, and say that they did, right? That makes sense, because now you have an on-screen, behind-the-scenes type of bad guy that we could all boo and blame for all the terrible booking stuff. And maybe that's WWE's way of getting out of the heat. You know, it's not all on them. One could hope that's the best case scenario, and even then, it should not have even been a thing, because WCW did this back in the day, and it led to its absolute demise, right? With Hulk Hogan and, what was that, Vince Russo type of situation. If you know, you know. But this is how you kill a wrestling promotion if done incorrectly. I would have totally steered clear of any of this stuff, but here we are. Other than that, the wrestling news, that's pretty much all I wanted to go over. It's a really interesting situation, and we're going to keep an eye on everything. And obviously, this stuff was, very like jutted in there. It doesn't really make sense for the WrestleMania creative plans and stuff like that, but I think they're going to be fine. Obviously, it's WWE. What are we going to do? Not watch? No one's going to do that, right? We're going to watch the show. Whether or not there's tickets available and whether or not there's people in the seats, I don't know. And I don't think, like I said, I don't think bringing in these celebrities is going to be a huge type of, additive, which this is another talking point we could go into is there's so many celebrities, but it makes sense. It's the biggest show of the year, but I don't want to see it in every single program, because they're not here, putting their bodies on the line, right? They're here just to draw money. And at the end of the day, when you buy something and you're in billions of dollars of debt for a business, you got to make some money, and this is how they do it. So, I don't know. That's all I got to talk about here when it comes to that. I like this, believe it or not. This is a good thing for WWE because it's making more people talk about it. It's bringing more eyes to the product. That's always a good thing. How they went about it, I don't know. There are definitely better ways, but I think the creative team and Triple H in general are playing just with the cards they have gotten dealt. So, yeah. If you like these types of videos, want to see more, make sure you like and subscribe. If not, you're free.